Yeah, so protect the children, protect the future, mate. That little smackhead's kid down there, show him love. Because if you don't show him love, he's going to show you hate when he's old enough. Simple. All them kids you're just neglecting on your streets because they're not your kids. If they don't get love and care off yous are getting attacked by them when they're 16 and 17. They won't give two f**ks about your noise levels. They won't give two f**ks about your kids or anything about you. You step out of line, they'll smash the house up. That's what you're going to get if you don't start looking after these kids. So you hear people moaning, they grew up on here for years. We did, yeah, they did. You didn't show them an ounce of love though, did you? You looked at them like this. You could see they were hungry, you never offered them food. You could see they were cold, you never offered them a jacket. They're living with this, they're observing this, kids, they're not stupid. You know, they're not going nowhere, they're going to be living there. If they're not loved and cared, guess what? They're not going to love and care for the community they're on. They'll hate every one of you. Why? Because they'll blame you for it. It's like us when we were growing up. We got badly treated off the estate, but there was one or two people on the estate that loved us. Normally the old women. And it was then that ray of love and care that prevented us going to town on the estate. Yeah, we started a graft up on it. But every old person on that estate was protected. It went a bit scatty when Danny come out. You know, Danny was a different kettle of fish. When Danny ran out and it was just a normal graft, everyone was blessed on that estate. And then Danny gets out. And there you go. He's got a crazy crackhead doing what he wants. Just makes everyone's lives miserable on the estate. Not just Danny, we're all part of the same problem, do you understand? But just like yous on your estate in Bootle, just like yous on your estate in Crocky, just like yous on your estate there, keeping the old women up all night because you stood at the bottom of the street chatting you. It's not good for your community, it's not good for your people. You need peace and tranquility so you can recover from the you're all going through. You don't even know you're going through it. If you're disturbing that peace and tranquility, that love and care on your estate, it makes everything 10 times worse. I've probably got a few young lads on here watching me now when they shouldn't be. You probably got to go to school in the morning and that, haven't you? You know, 15 and that, whatever your age is. If there's a few young ones in here and you're starting to go down that path of drill music and that drill music is having you to speak a certain way and dress a certain way and behave a certain way, just understand what they're doing to yourself, lad. That's not that's not the way you're meant to be. That's going to drag you into a mess, mate. It's going to have you treating your ma weird, it's going to have you treating your girl different, everything. Stay away from it, lad. You can knuckle down in your last few years of school, get yourself into college if you can, get similar qualifications that you can walk into employment with. You can still be entrepreneurial, mate. You can still branch out. You know, if you want to be independent, you can still be independent, but at the moment, just get your education skills and then move on in life. Don't ruin it by smoking weed, standing on that corner with them that's been doing it for 10 years before you. Look at the lads look at the 22 and 23-year-old that stood on that corner. He's been there since he was 14, you know, lads. Doing the same, smoking the same, chatting the same. And guess what? In 10 years, he'll move off the corner and end up in the local boozer. Doing the same, chatting the same, being the same. You don't want to be like him. You don't want to be stood on that corner. You want to be stood in that gaff with your bird and your baby at 18, 19, 20. You don't want to be on the corner smoking weed, wasting it. And that's what's Western world, isn't it? You know, when your kids leave school, you start to encourage them, go on, you're growing up, go and party for a few years. Get to know things. That's completely back to front, that advice. That's only the Western family that does that, you know. You won't see any other family other than our type of culture doing that. Every other family that's not our culture, our way, when they come out of school, they're going into full-time employment for years, mate, working solid from the ages of 16. And then they'll have a little buzz when they're 35, 40 and party and go clubbing and holidaying and experience life that way. You know, they'll make life before they experience it. We're experience it before you've made it, which is back to front. Hey, let's get rid of this little weirdo. And obviously this is just me, people. Some of you will understand, some won't. I'm not really asked. You know, I'm trying to reach out to the people that matter, and that's the children and the youth. They're the future. If we're bringing hundreds of thousands of the future through drugs, what's the future going to look like? If we've got 100,000 kids coming through off trauma because they've witnessed violence on the street by organised crime groups, what's it going to look like? They all need looking, they all need guided correctly by the right individuals. They need to understand just how easy it is to fill your life up. They're told it's difficult to have a good life. This is what's happening with the kids. They're told it's difficult to have a good life, and it's not. It's like anything in life, you've got to work for it. It's like anything you just begin to do, you've got to practice at it. The more you practice, the better you'll get. The better you get, the more opportunities you'll get in that area. That's the way it works, lad. It's like when you can't ride a bike, and then you can ride a bike. The first few metres you're falling off, you're cutting your knee, you're damaging your ankle. A month later you're doing wheelies, flying. It's the same with you. You know, you're going to fall off, you're going to fall down, you're going to get up, but once you're ready, you'll fly. You can have a good life without committing crime, lads. Definitely. Just not committing crime automatically gives you a better lifestyle. What's lifestyle? It's not the cars you've got, it's not the telly on your thing, it's how you are. It's what you're doing to keep yourself healthy, it's the places you go, the people you be with. It's not to do with all your materials. You can be poor materialistically, but a billionaire intrinsically, if that makes sense. You know, when you're in here, and you're loving yourself like we were saying earlier on, and you're focused on yourself when you love yourself, so you start correcting all your little madness inside yourself. And when you're doing that, it's a form of mastery. You know, when you're on a game, years ago when you clocked that game, we used to say we'd mastered it. We'd mastered the game. Now they say we clocked the game or completed the game. But you've got the ability to master yourself. Really get to know yourself. Really deal with your emotions inside. And once you've done that, everything you desire in this world will come your way. If you love yourself inside and fix what's going on in here, all that materialistic will eventually come to you when you're ready for it. Defo. So for years people have been ripping me that I'm poor. You scruff, you beg, you meth, look at the clothes you've got on, look at this, you live in one room, box room, sounds great. How are you going to be when it all hits me on the chin at once? How are you going to be when all of a sudden I'm not in a one bedroom dungeon, I'm in something 10 times better than your gaff? How are you going to feel about me then? You know, when I'm ready, they'll give me what I deserve, mate. And that's the way it'll work. I've done nothing but goodness since I've realised how much up I was. And it's not going to turn that 30 years it's over. I'm not sitting here being good every day thinking at the end of it I'm going to get a pot of gold. I'm being good. If a pot of gold comes at the end of it, so can be it. I'll give it to people. If I start earning millions in 5 years' time, I'll be making millionaires all over the place with it. You just stick at it, honest. When you get past, when you focus yourself, as I say, I used to be worried sick about money problems. Now other people are worried about my money problems more than me. I get people messaging me, do you need money? 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 No. Have you got food in your fridge? No. Well then you need money. Yeah, but I don't really need it. I'm alright. No, I'm sending you money. And that's the way they are. And I firmly believe this is what happens. I'm convinced this is what happens to you. When you're doing a good thing, when you're doing what the eyes of the skies want you to do, they will provide you with everything you need to do it. And if you get in difficult situations, they will provide the get out clause in some mad way. I have not suffered once terribly since I've been screaming choose a life not a knife. Yeah, I've had attempts on my life, I've had people shot dead next to me, but I firmly believe the whole reason I'm still breathing now is because I'm delivering the message of choose a life not a knife. And that mindset is just too powerful to break. When you feel you're being protected by God, no one can do it to you. And that's truly the way I feel. I'm protected on this path. And everything I've gone through in the last 8 years reconfirms that I'm protected on this path. I've had 3 attempts on my life in the last, since 2018. There's a reason why I'm not dead. You know, I had like 6 attempts on my life before I was 24. There's a reason I'm not dead. Been getting Osmond warnings since the age of 19. Threat to life warnings since the age of 19, do you understand? People have been trying to kill me since I was a kid, mate. Grown men have been trying to kill me since I was a kid. No one my age. Old school rats tried to kill me since the get-go. I didn't want this. I didn't want this life, lad. I just had to live it. I took the warnings, I heeded the warnings, but it just never happened for me. I went to jail for my first time, got out and went straight to the army recruitment office, but I was too young. Now you're not. You can go there at 16 and be recruited. If you've been in all course of 15, get out, go and get yourself in the army. That's what all them kids need to be doing that are going to the YP system, all of them. Get them out after the first sentence and roll them straight into the army. As part of the punishment, if you like, but it needs to be done. Yes, KJ. So see all these 13, 14, 15-year-old kids that are rotting in the prison system. As soon as they're 16, put them in the army. They're already getting disciplined in the prison. They're already isolated from girls in the prison. They'll get access from the family just like they would in the army. In there they'll have purpose, in there they're gaining qualifications, in there they're understanding how to live a legitimate life and respect people and be respected back. In prison they're not learning none of that. In prison all they're learning is how to be more violent and how to be more dangerous, more manipulative, more deceitful. It's all they're learning in them YP prisons, people. So yeah, you get a 15-year-old, he's getting 2 years. He goes in there for 12 months, now you're going into the army as soon as you leave prison. If you don't want to go in the army, don't go to prison. Works all over the place, doesn't it? It works as a deterrent, but also works as a productive sentence. You're also making the men on the ground in this country ready and prepared for what's coming in the future if it does. But these boss initiatives that I come out with, they never get took on board, do they? I'm a lone wolf. If it was surrounded by loads of money and a network of people, these little initiatives will probably get put into practice. But because I'm not isolated due to the area of concern I'm in, which is basically organised crime groups and unsolved murders, isn't it? It's where it's been for 3 years. I haven't done no content on that yet because I got derailed by the rats, didn't I? But that's basically what I've done. Home on 1%. Let's see if we can get the battery in before it goes off. If it goes off, I won't come back on. So I'll see you all tomorrow, but if it doesn't go off, I'll stay on. How are you, Linz? Oh yeah, hope you're good. I'm Sam, mate. Just Debbie D, KJ. Yeah, so it is what it is, people. I don't need to keep on explaining myself and putting myself out there to let you know why I do this. If you've been following me along, you'll know why I do it. The core of the message, the core of me. Choose a life, not a knife. If I've just got into the mind of 2 years there and made you question your life and think what you're doing, so be it, that's what it's about. That's what it's about. 2 every night, 3 every night, I'm doing a good job. Yeah, I'm not sponsored. Yeah, they haven't got no big charity number to scream out, choose a life, not a knife. Choose a life, not a knife is anyone's. You can scream about it. You can develop your flyers about it. You can go into the schools in your local area and speak about choose a life, not a knife. You can go into your own community centre and speak about choose a life, not a knife. You don't need Darren G there. You don't need that particular badge or that particular logo. You can go and invent your own. You know, it's not a registered charity and it never will be. You don't need to be all this when you want to raise awareness. You've just got to be powerful and on it. If you're concerned about your area and there's not a knife initiative in the area, we'll make Choose a Life, Not a Knife, United Kingdom the knife initiative in your area. And you take full responsibility for it. It's there on a plate. Do what you want with it. I'm not going to say, hang on a minute, what are you doing using my logo? If you're down that end of the country and you start promoting Choose a Life, Not a Knife, and you start getting very relevant in the area, and then you start to get on to media programmes and media things and all, don't think I'm going to go jealous on you. You're exactly what they need for the message, kid. You know, and if I don't know how many is there who are bored all the time and gutted with what's going on your streets with the knife crime and the gang crime, but if you need something purpose in your life and you need something to grab hold of and work with, Choose a Life, Not a Knife's there for you. Choose a Life, Not a Knife is for the country to pick up and use to try and raise awareness for the children. You don't need permission off me. You're not going to be sued if you use that slogan like you would do every other. If you haven't got an initiative in your town or in your city, pick up Choose a Life, Not a Knife and roll with it. And it'll work. Why? Because there's a problem in your town, in your city to do with knife crime. And you're the only knife initiative there. Don't forget, some woman in Croydon developed Choose a Life, Not a Knife. I just bent on her. She gave me it, basically. I don't own it. No one, this is the point I'm making now, and you need to get on board with it. You see all these other knife initiatives, right? unless you're a part of that, you can't really speak on it. Oh yeah, you can put a little hashtag, but you're not really going to big it up, are you? If it was yours, you'd be bigging it up. If you're in Salford and there's no knife initiative in Salford and you start using Choose a Life Not a Knife, yeah, it's Darren G's shout, but Darren G's not involved with you in Salford when you're delivering Choose a Life Not a Knife. So the problems for Darren G and Choose a Life Not a Knife are not the problems for you. I get harassed by the organised crime groups because I'm using Choose a Life screaming about this type in Liverpool. You're using Choose a Life Not a Knife, but you're not screaming about that in Manchester. You're screaming about knife crime. You're speaking about the trauma of knife crime, the difficulty of knife crime, the imprisonment through knife crime. You're not screaming the way I am about them dirty organised crime group drug dealing scumbags. So you're not going to get the nasty risk element that I get from it. If anything, if you're from Salford, you're screaming Choose a Life Not a Knife about knife crime, protecting the kids, half of them organised crime groups in Salford would support you. They would. Fact. If I was doing my thing, just screaming Choose a Life Not a Knife now, bam, just about knife crime, just sticking to knife crime, not mentioning gun crime, not mentioning organised crime groups, not mentioning none of them names that I've had to name and shame in the past 8 years. If I wouldn't have mentioned none of them, they'd be funding me. They'd be sending me dough to get this out there to keep the kids away from this. Do you understand? But I'm not that way inclined. I'm not having nothing to do with yous and your money. Nothing. I've had loads of people trying to bend on. You know, from that way of life. Loads of people over the years trying to bend on. I'm just like that. Nah, mate, you're not going to come in near me while you're connected to him and him and him and him. If you're a drug dealer, don't grab this message and try and spin it in your area. Stay away from it. I'm speaking to the decent kids who want to make an impact in their area to do with the youth. Go for it. Just grab Choose a Life Not a Knife, Calnack UK, and work on it. In a few months, it'll make a difference in your area. It'll make a difference in your area. I'm telling you, you'll be getting called into places to do speeches and, you know, advise the youth and all this in your area. It'll be good for the message. Be good for Choose a Life Not a Knife. It'll be good for you, good for me, good for the city, good for the country.